Hello, lovely beings, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan astrology report. How are you doing? So, this is an astrological report using the Mayan calendar and the magic and wonder that it holds for Friday, the 17th of May. Yeah, that's right, 2024. So, we've just completed the Yellow Warrior Wavespell, which is all about our process of moving from victim into creator. And the Yellow Warrior really supports us to kind of transform our old stories and begin to reclaim ourselves and our lives, and to really see that everything is always this evolutionary opportunity. So it's never a victim script if we choose for it not to be, but it's super comfy in it, even though we complain about it, to be in victim mode. So I hope that you enjoyed your journey with the Yellow Warrior and found some peace maybe with things that have happened previously, some empowerment with things that have been happening in the past and also in the present. So now we're moving to one of my favorites, the Red Moon Wavespell. Red Moon is all about the divine feminine. What does that mean? Well, it's a little bit similar to what I just said. So the divine feminine energetic is really about alchemy and flow and purification. But in order to be able to lean into that again, it's almost like the Yellow Warrior and this like transformation of victimhood carries us then into this Red Moon divine femininity. And like the feminine path of awakening is about deepening into embodiment. It's about alchemizing. It's about processing. And if you've got a womb, you will know that pain and release are gateways to birthing, to opening, to newness. And so the Red Moon is this red energy, and the red signs are all about awakening and beginning and initiation. It's like a fiery energy. But the moon is this watery energy, this feminine, flowy, and with how the moon affects the earth, it dredges things from the sea. It affects the tides, it affects the waters, and it brings up. I remember having a really profound, it's like 2012. I was in India, I was in the ocean, and like some stuff had been coming up for me, and so many moments of like accidental angelic messenger moments in India. But I remember somebody that was like in the sea with saying, "Oh, it really dredges the stuff up from the bottom of the ocean, doesn't it, when it's full moon?" Because it was full moon and we were on this island, the Andaman Islands. And in that moment, it was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Not only is it doing that on a sort of a physical, like bringing the gunk up from the bottom of the sea, but in us as well. And this is the feminine alchemy process. There's a really amazing book called I think it's called like Magdalene, the left-handed path of Christ. And again, it's just this very different we've got this sort of masculine awakening process, which is like the rigorous, determined, practice-led overcoming the physical. I will defy the physical, I will defy the mind, and I will therefore almost dissociate to a place of enlightenment and godlike energetics. Whereas the feminine path is more like, I'm going to descend into the physical, I'm going to use what comes into my reality, I'm going to dance, I'm going to move with the energy that's there, I'm going to transform through what's presented as opposed to following a rigorous path to achieve a thing. I'm going to use the feedback loop of my reality to then drop into this transformation process. And the purification of the Red Moon and the purification of the human is very much this like emotional process. So when we are journeying the Red Moon, we're really allowing this like this feminine water, you know, to open and to cleanse, you know, and the waters of the feminine in all of us come in so many different ways, you know, from our tears. There's like such a big gateway that's offered to us, and this is something that I really feel in terms of this, like, you know, that like rigorous path to enlightenment. It's quite an individual process. It's like, I'm going to clear, well, it's not even clear, I'm going to transcend my personal limitation and boof. Whereas this feminine path is more collective. It's like, well, I'm cleansing these stories of mine, of ours. I'm allowing this pain, this grief, this whatever to be felt. And the more open we are to the feeling, the more able we are to feel and to sense and to remain open, the more then we can be guided, the more then we can be receptive. So a big aspect of the red moon energy is this kind of receptive, feminine, open, watery consciousness. And I really feel, you know, if we look at humanity as a collective, it's not about men and women, it's about all of us together. It's about humans. And, you know, there are so many things between, so many types of people between man and woman. There's no definition for what each of those things are, but there are different energetics of masculine energy and feminine energy, and we each occupy a different space on the, you know, the polarity between the two. Like, some people are here, some people are here, some people are here, you know. But the feminine energetic, the feminine way of being, the feminine way of responding to and existing within reality is still less lived through the collective of humanity than would allow us to be in balance. The majority of us are still living in that determined, over masculinized, I will do, I will transcend, I will douche. But what we're being invited to do as a collective, to try and find our way through what's happened on the planet, you know. And I think sometimes, again, this like forward pursuit energy of this masculine polarity that we're all kind of existing mainly within doesn't give space for grief, it doesn't give space for emotion, it doesn't give space for integration, and that's what's causing the issue. It's like we've not had chance to really feel into what's happened here, to really feel into, you know, all of the different histories that are now coming to light that political agenda meant that we couldn't know for a long time. All of the things that are like arising within our own lives, that have arisen within our own lives, that have arisen on the world stage. You know, it's like, it's the blaming, it's the conspiracy, it's the anger, it's the blah, blah, blah. But there's not so much space and opportunity just to be like, fuck, that was hard. That is hard. This hurts. And just stay in it, like staying in that pain. And I'm not saying stay frozen in the pain, letting the pain move like the liquid energy is. But if we're like, it's all fine, nothing's going on, I'm just going to keep doing it, blah, 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 that energy doesn't have the opportunity to move. But when we can sit with it, when we can befriend it, when we can allow it, then it can move through us. And that then, it's like, as the pain moves, then we've also got greater space to be people existing in harmony with synchronicity, with God, with evolution, with whatever you want to call it, with love. This intelligent force that is operating through everything all the time, leading us to deeper levels of embodiment, leading us to deeper levels of liberation. You know, there's a force running through our reality that is offering that to us every moment. And I think this is the thing that a lot of, you know, I've got I'm at my grandma's, so I've got my little Jesus dude here. So cool, he's on wheels. But I think that's a lot of what that teaching's about. It's like, you know, that love, and I guess a lot of religious teachings, that love is always offering us an opportunity to know it deeper, to know ourselves deeper, to liberate ourselves more, to reframe from victim into, wow, there's just this love pumping all the time. And when I lean into it, sometimes it's going to take me to an edge that maybe doesn't feel that loving, because that's the barrier that's in me. So the red moon energy is this embodied space. A lot of the red signs are about embodiment. There is a very, you know, there's a physical aspect, but I think sometimes we see physical as less advanced or less intelligent, but there's an ancient physicality that exists throughout all kingdoms of creatures, this like intuitive, instinctive aspect of physicality. Like the body is so deeply intelligent. So there's, within all of the red signs, there's this sort of surrender to the deeper instinctual knowing. And I think particularly red moon, because it's so deeply feminine, it just takes that to a whole deeper level. The other aspect of the red moon is this energy around like the cycles. So the moon has phases, the waters, you know, the seas, the oceans have phases where they're fuller, you know, and in that fullness there's more external expression, and when the tide's in, you know, it's more of an internal. So there's also an opportunity for us to, within this Wavespell, really get to know ourselves and do our best to, if we are going to cultivate a practice, allow that practice to be how in alignment with myself, with my truth, with my needs, with my being, am I in this moment? If the world is asking you to step out, but your instincts are not in alignment with that, should you be stepping out? Dissolving ideas of should and shouldn't. It's a tricky one. It's a gritty one, because sometimes our instinct might be saying go, but our fear is saying stay. Our doubt is saying stay. So really within the red moon, the journey is about how do we cleanse, how do we purify, and through that purification, how do we drop deeper into ourselves? How do we drop deeper into, because self is so connected to earth, is so connected to spirit. You know, it's not this like made up ego thing. I hate that word ego. Like, it's just destroyed our relationship with our humanity. It's ridiculous. But anyway, how do we become more of our connected, embodied selves? How do we release the grief? How do we open to flow? How do we find that ancient, and again, this is something that I find in lots of the red signs, it's like an ancient way of existing here. And I do feel that, you know, there's pieces of it kind of coming back to life. And, you know, if you think about how many people are incarnate on the planet at the moment, incarnated on the planet at the moment, you know, that's a lot of fragments of the whole. And, you know, maybe it was always the whole, and it's just divided into more fragments now. But there is an element of, you know, there are many, many, many fractals of consciousness existing right now, and a lot of us have got caught in this like modern way of existing here that's disconnected from earth, that's disconnected from spirit. And I think our greatest mission at this time is to find the way of like, okay, how do I exist as a human here, but reconnect those things. And sometimes I would argue that that's more important than connecting outwardly to other humans. It's like, if we can find our place of feeling where we're located, feeling what it is to be a human in the old school sense, then from there, when we reach into the collective of humanity, we're coming from a space that's embodied, we're coming from a space that's connected, as opposed to being disconnected, searching for connection in the human realm, and then what gets created from that? Just more codependent loops, because we're not in. But in order to find the in order to nurture the in, we have to be able to move the old energy that's been stuck. So sometimes that can come through movement. Like Red Moon is a very deeply like sexy, and I don't mean sexy in a way that's like I want to have sex. It's like a sensual, it's a sensuality, and everything is sensual. You know, this entire reality, the way that Gaia births things on her body and moves is sensual. The way that the feminine moves in reality is sensual. So with that, it's like it's this constant movement. So energy is constantly moving, emotion is constantly moving, yet we get ourselves into these weird ways of being where we're not moving anymore. We're locking down, we're staying stuck, we're choosing to do the things that allow us to move here but keep all of this frozen. And when all of this is frozen, this might be moving, but in terms of the human game, in terms of physical matter, which is the feminine, everything's stagnating. So come into your body, come into your emotions, notice anything that's feeling sensitive is a gift, and create the space for your sensitivity, create space for your connection up here and down here. Gaia, spirit, find your way of flowing, purify. You know, this is a really great time to do a fast, or you know, to be, and I don't mean a fast like a fast, I mean like a, I don't know, just an open purification, like with lots of shaking, with lots of breath work, with lots of dance, like dance. This is a time for dance. The Astrological Diaries by next Wavespell will be ready to buy you. So if you want to, I'm going to create a little mailing list so that once they're out, I can just send a message to everybody to be like, yep, you can buy. So I'll put the link for that below. And yeah, lots of things are brewing, which I'll share more about in due course. But yeah, I send you loads of love, and I will see you next time. Bye bye bye.